Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, like this topic kind of reminds me of a shirt that I designed, and it has a picture of a black man, and it has like one half of him is his profile, and the other half has like a downloading screen, and it literally says downloading. And the reason for that, metaphor behind that was because kind of like what the both of you guys touched on, like we are seen as basically the poster children for whatever type of topic or whatever type of category, especially when it comes to yeah, not trying to say Beyonce, but when it comes to being in like a musical forum, when it comes to social justice, especially social justice, every single uh, race or culture looks to us as the leaders in that, or they want to know what our opinion is on a certain topic, and it's crazy because uh, my wife was out with some friends having some brunch, and a Japanese like group of film students or whatever. I think they were like producers or something from a film company out in uh, Japan, and they were talking about the George Floyd issue with them, and they wanted to know what their take was on it. And in the group, there was my wife, who's Italian and Japanese. There's her friend, really close friend. He was Mexican and Italian. Another close friend that was black and white, and then another friend that was like Mongolian and white. And they were all asking, what their individual take was on it. And then when it came down to the black and white friend, they're asking, okay, which side are you picking, the black side or the white side? That's what the Japanese interviewer asked. And, he was like, I'm not really picking any sides. I'm just picking on common sense. That's, and that's something that, a lot of people are, from the outside looking in, from outside of the country looking in, that's how they see us, as you know these poster children, these carbon copies of Martin Luther King, that we're all supposed to have the same type of mindset when it comes to that. And it's clear to see that we as black people are extremely diverse in our thought process when it comes to that. I mean, it's a bad example, but look at the Attorney General of Kentucky. Completely on the other end of the spectrum. But I'm just saying that's a whole different type of Negro.
You said a whole different type, and you're not lying. And you're not lying. Um, you got something you want to add to that, TJ?
I said something about Daniel Cameron that needed to stay muted, so it's cool. But no, we good.
But man, let us segue into that, man. Let's segue into the next part. Man, how can we destigmatize the need for mental health? And what are the stigmas that exist? Because maybe people don't even recognize what they see in themselves, or how they behave, that kind of perpetuates, negative mental health. And what are some ways that we can destigmatize that?
Needing therapy means you're sick. That's the stigma. I think we've already said this. In our blackness, we have to be superheroes all the time. Look at Kamala Harris. As a vice presidential candidate, she is probably overqualified. That woman should be president, period. I mean, but, nevertheless, I said that to say, in our superhero nature, sometimes we don't have time to stop to take care of ourselves. So we also don't prioritize it because it's something that we can it's something we think can delay until it's too late. Kind of like hypertension and diabetes and stuff. We will, you know, our vision will get blurry a little bit. You know, our feet will start tingling, but we won't go to the doctor until we have a heart attack. Why? It's um there's probably some cultural issues there, but as far as like black men are concerned, we're very pro strong silent type. It's very we're kind of stuck in a generational gap with it, I'd say, because you know a lot of things have been passed down from like, you know, the 50s and 60s of manhood with regards to mental health and stuff. And I think one man at a time is the only way that we can, you know, destigmatize it. You know, one brother's healing at a time, and all we can worry about is our own healing. And because you will still have some people who will champion the popular way. You know, they will think of mental health therapy as weak, even gay. But that's, you know, I it pains me sometimes when we think of things that will only serve to better us, and when we think of them as like a feminine or a dehumanizing way. It's a past way of thinking that needs to die. That's me.
Yeah, my take on mental health and the path to destigmatizing it is, like, first off, like, I have no choice but to destigmatize it, because one, you know, I'm dealing with mental health issues from my family, and then also two, I have a son who has ASD, so he's on the spectrum, and he's also exhibiting behaviors that might, uh, you know, indicate that he's gender fluid. So, and I love my child too much to just see him die off of just killing himself because he's dealing with, you know, societal norms, or quote unquote societal norms, that are going to try to dictate how he should live. So I'm going to fully support him in anything that he does, as long as it's not self-destructive. So, you know, it's my job to utilize any type of platform, any type of materials that are available to me, like this podcast, for example, to normalize mental health within the Black community, and then also to destigmatize it. Another thing that, you know, comes with that is just the overall uh, influence of the church. I'm going to be just completely honest with you. Like, I was born and raised in both the AME and the Seventh-day Adventist denominations. Both sides, I have a lot of family members that sit kind of high up in the hierarchy of those denominations. And I know that Christianity was introduced to us during slavery as a means for forgiveness for being Black, for being African. So that within itself was a means of control. And when you're being viewed as having some type of mental disability in the church, you are seen as weak. You're seen as somebody that doesn't have any faith. So you're having to rely on your faith to be healed. You know, they always, even way back in like the 1700s, you know, if you had a mental disability, you were burned at the stake. It didn't matter what color you were. So, like, that, like, using platforms like this and actually going out and, you know, being around different people and having these types of conversations is really the groundwork that we need to keep going to destigmatize mental health, especially within the Black community.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall we just get put into this box where we just have to act like, because shit has happened to us for so fucking long, that we can endure everything. And then the point of when you can't endure, then you're not worthy or you're weak. But really they're just taken away from our humanity, because there's only so much any person can handle. Right? You punch somebody, look at that boxing. Mental health can be like boxing. You punch somebody in the face too damn much, they're gonna develop some cognitive issues that are gonna turn physical, right? So it's just the same thing like with us. It's like if you pack trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma, you're gonna get somebody that snaps. That's why when you look at these young black men in the streets, right? Go look at them, go up to Tulane Avenue and look at a young dude hanging and banging. And look in their eyes. And everybody says they look dead inside. They're not dead inside, but they look that way because they have trauma compacted on top of trauma, compacted on top of trauma. And they've never had an outlet because all they've ever been told was to just deal with it. Just deal with it and deal with it to the point where they do something where they kill themselves or kill each other. To me, most mental health doesn't even show in things like suicide. It shows in domestic abuse. It shows in fighting. It shows in killing. To me, that's what I see. Because it's all that shit that's on top of people, and they don't have a safe place to deal with it. So I agree with all the stigmas that you're talking about. The one way we destigmatize it, especially in the Black community, we stop gossiping about each other. It's so interesting how our own family members gossip about us more than a motherfucker on the street. TJ, you probably found out you was bisexual from somebody in the family because somebody in the family told somebody in the family. I'm not saying that was it, but I'm saying that's a scenario that could have happened.
Look, I've said this in the group. Like, folk were putting me in that box before I even knew what the box was. You know, like at the age of 6, I had my family members were trying to get me to walk differently. Why do you walk like that? Why does your arm swing like that? You know, friends they made fun of how articulate I was, and that was another thing that put me in that box. I was like, I'm just being myself. I'm just me. I don't even know what you're talking about. And you know, that's the most frustrating part. Didn't even have a chance. You know, we don't give one another chances. I was gonna just to add on to what you were saying. Another way to destigmatize is just to let people know that the coping mechanisms that they have decided on, they can have better. You know, we don't have to drink. We don't have to pop pills. We don't have to drink syrup to cope. We can have better. We can be healthy. We can be healthy for ourselves. We can be healthy for the baby mamas, the wives that we have, the children, our parents, our friends. We can be healthy. And being healthy is not weak. It's vital. It is to live. I don't know. But like I said, we can only do that one person at a time. We can't. You know, if one person at a time is how that changes. Yeah,
Bro, you said it. You said it. Being healthy is not weak. And you know what else comes down to? It almost comes down to that sabotage psyche that we have in the Black community, where we feel like we've only been given this much. We've been given this what's the word I'm looking for? This subjugation. We've been subjugated. We've been mistreated. We've been bamboozled. And that's what we end up feeling like that's what we end up feeling like that's all we deserve.